Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Think Rugby podcast. As you can see, I'm joined with my partner in crime. How are you, Zav?
I'm good. I'm back. I'm all fit and well. Apologies, but last week I was not. I was not in a healthy state to record or do anything at all. But I'm back now. The show went on. Thanks very much to Andy for doing a solo himself last week. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. Good bit of fun, good bit of excitement there. Even Andy rambling facts and hard truths about rugby. So, where would you like to start this week, Mr. Morrison?
Well, yeah, the week before you were off, a bit of heat with some of the things I said.
What do you mean by a bit of heat? What's been going on?
So, a fortnight ago on this podcast, I said that the IRFU did not evenly distribute the money to the four provinces in Ireland, being Ulster, Leinster, Munster and Connacht. Yeah, it turned out to be our third most viewed video or podcast, and yeah, brilliant. But yeah, there was a lot of folk unhappy with what I'd said. I had made my comments, and don't get me wrong, very, very appreciative of the folk that commented. I'm not going to pretend to be that much of an expert on the Irish rugby system or how it's set up. I do know that Leinster have got a conveyor belt of players. It's a big rugby area. And the majority of the Irish players that play for Ireland also play for Leinster. That being said, a lad called Anton Phelan, 964, thank you for getting in touch, said the 23 Leinster players that played, 16 came through their academy, one from Connacht, 3 are born elsewhere but have been playing for Leinster for years, so like your James Lowe, Gibson Park, etc. And the last 3 are foreign. Other comments as well that I couldn't be arsed to write down were saying at how it's more the IRFU do evenly distribute it, but obviously Leinster have got more centrally contracted players. Which in turn, because I don't know how much these players are getting paid, it's a conversation for another day as to whether or not we should or not know how much a player gets paid. Well, they surely get, the most money. Turns out they...
I'll just intervene here. It's not like, look, Munster are a very well established team. Back in the day, they were extremely, extremely strong. I mean, they even had like the Doug Howlett across from the All Blacks top try scorer of all time. He used to play for Munster at some point. They've had some really like high quality, like overseas players coming over on big contracts and that. But I'll just list off a few names at the top of my head. Yes, okay, albeit some homegrown, but let's just say when you're able to take over Snyman, Jody Barrett. I mean, still not confirmed, I don't think 100%, but you see Enrique Ioane putting up a lot of post. Now I hope that was just a wind up. If that comes true, honestly, that's just got to break the absolute internet. Already has broken the internet. But you've got Snyman, Barrett. Let's look at James Lowe, Jameson Gibson Park, and that's overseas players. Yeah, so Kiwis and...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like Munster, as you're saying, having a benefit. I mean, like R.G. Snyman obviously was with Munster, but his form was poor. He was injured quite a bit. I was like, well, yeah, fair enough. The IRFU was wrong about how much money they distribute, and Leinster generate far more money from ticket sales and sponsors, etc. In my mind, before I looked into it, I was like, well, they've got all the big central contracted players.
Yeah.
A lot more money would be going towards that. Graham Rowntree left because he was frustrated for a number of different reasons, but one of them was seemingly about... Yeah, he was frustrated with how the IRFU wouldn't help him get more front row cover. And then you see the likes of R.G. Snyman go into Leinster, and you're just, well, how make that make sense, So
money contracts. I'll tell you now for a fact. Maybe it's changed, but definitely within the last 3 years, Leinster, like academy, like community coaches, go about looking for potential and coaching in schools and age grade and that. 53 coaches they've got employed, in comparison to most professional clubs have maybe got the guts of 15 to 20. So that's like 3 times, almost, maybe just shy 3 times amount. That's a massive difference. And again, I'm trying to emphasise the point. Yes, okay, Leinster will be paying these coaches through their own pocket, but when if you think of between the four of them, why they're not trying to evenly distribute that? Is it because Leinster's got a bigger catchment area? Possibly, but that bigger catchment area to have 3 times the amount, and it's not just compared to other Irish teams; it's compared to all the teams in the URC. I'm not too sure about South African teams, but in terms of the Scottish teams and the Welsh teams as well, it's vastly increased amount in comparison. I need to go up to double check, fact check and see what the recent kind of stats and figures are. But I remember back in the day, and so there's no shit why that academy and the homegrown players are influx and are just coming through like a conveyor belt. And then if it doesn't work out, then that's it. Then they can, I guess, move on. I don't know exactly how transfers and that work. They don't really get transfers in rugby, but if you'll get probably a cut or something if you're passing on somebody a decent that kind of standard to somewhere else. Maybe get some sort of add-on clause for giving somebody that established kind of player. But yeah, look, they've got talent at the disposal. They literally just don't need. And they're dominating everything apart from the Scarlets. They can't seem to quite dominate the Scarlets. But apart from that, just dominate everybody. I think the 10 points clear top of the URC, or were 10 points clear before the weekend.
Something like that. Yeah, they were nonsense. I mean, they're going to finish first in the last 2 rounds. Leinster, that's clear as day. But yeah, I mean, again, what I said a fortnight ago, I was considering the talent they've got at their disposal, they should be winning far more trophies. But folk want to attack me for being factually wrong about one thing. But interestingly enough, nobody challenged my opinion on that.
Oh, the trophies. Good point. Simon, we're going to get onto it in a minute, but given their opposition for their semi-final and Champions Cup, I think that may continue on. I really don't fancy Leinster. It's just for some reason, I'm shocked to see the loss to the Scarlets. I never watched the game. I can't lie. I never watched the game. It was 22 points to 15 or so, roughly like that. Maybe it's a bit more, but
they put the kids to them. Other than I think it was Healy and Frawley, I didn't recognise any of the players that they sent away down there.
Well, all well and said, but the Scarlets are okay. They're not the worst Welsh team, in my opinion. But you look at Bath, they played, I believe, as Newcastle Falcons just at the weekend, and they did the exact same. The only player, they had Redpath at 13. They had
Russell would have been playing.
He was on the bench. He had Redpath at 13. They had Barbary at number 8, and other than that, there wasn't that many. And even Barbary and Redpath don't start all the time. So it's Redpath more just now because Lawrence is injured, but you've got Ojomo in centre as well that tends to start at 13. Barbary sometimes even on the bench because they've got such a stacked back row at Bath. So it's to be fair to Bath, towards the last maybe 15-20 minutes, they took 7 subs on, and it was players like Russell and folk like that. But
yeah, the Bath bomb.
It was a Bath bomb. But the point I'm trying to make is Bath managed to do it against. I mean, it was Newcastle. Newcastle have gone a lot better. They've improved a lot. They really have. It's not just the Newcastle of 2 last season, the year before. They have vastly improved a lot. But again, Bath managed to do it with literally kids. So why Leinster, the team with the setup they've got, why can they not do it?
Yeah,
not an excuse in my opinion. Anyway,
I'm saying nothing. Moving on, it is semi-final weekend. I can't believe I butchered quite an easy statement. So, you've got the Champions Cup and then also the Challenge Cup. Yeah, kind of bizarre run of how the fixtures are played, etc. But we'll go with the Champions Cup first, and we've got, as we're talking about, Leinster against Northampton at 5:30 on Saturday at the Aviva Stadium.
Excellent. So, for me, I just mentioned it, Leinster vs Northampton. Just looking at Leinster just now, you always mention the fact that they're kind of notorious bottlers. They've gone to the finals before, but the way Northampton are looking, I think Northampton are kind of due something. Like they won the Gallagher Prem last year in a cracking final against Bath, may I add. Have really picked up the form lately, and they're kind of slowly building. They had a convincing win at the weekend against Harlequins. Yeah, a convincing win at the weekend, and again that run of form possibly at the right time. Yes, okay, Leinster's probably looking at playing against teams like Scarlets. Know they can afford to lose, which again was a bit poor crack in my opinion, because you always look to win, but reserving their players for the game like this, so it kind of shows that they know that Northampton is that kind of threat, that they cannot take them lightly. Essentially, it is the chunk of Ireland vs the chunk of England, because a lot of those Northampton players in the England squad, Alex Mitchell, Finn Smith, I mean, you've got Ollie Slightholme and Tommy Freeman in the wings. That's just absolutely insane. You've got Dingwall in the centres. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've got Dingwall in the centres. Okay, doesn't start for England much, but he's been in the mix. You've got Henry Pollock, who's absolutely playing out skin. I reckon he's got to get Gallagher Premiership Player of the Year, or even the Champions Cup Player of the Tournament. Honestly, it's just very, very stacked, and that's not to mention some of the absolute monsters. Pretty sure boy Augustus, does he still play for them? But absolute monsters that can come off the bench and pack that punch for them. So Northampton, again, it's at the Viva, a very hard place to go, but not an impossible place to go. So
Just one.
Just a one shootout. Interesting, very interesting. I'm going to reckon. Do you want me to do predictions now, or do you want to?
Yeah, we'll do predictions now. Yeah.
I'm gonna. Maybe it's the hipster's choice here, but I'm going to go for Northampton. They're going to edge it. It's going to be a very close game, but I think they're going to edge it, but maybe possibly pull away towards the end of the game. So I'm going to say it's going to be very tight until the last 10, 15 minutes. Maybe get a couple kicks, a breakaway try with like Slightholme or Freeman, and I'm going to say Northampton by 9 points.
Wow. Well, I've went with the opposite. I mean, I think Leinster are going to win it by about 21 points.
Honestly.
Jeez, yeah. I'm not saying this to save face or whatever, or be like, oh, I've slagged them off and I'm wrong, and here's me like cuddling up to them or anything. It's not that. I mean, the form that Leinster have had when they've had to turn the pressure on, they have been ruthless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who'd you rather win?
Oh, Northampton, definitely.
Fair enough. I was just making sure, because like it is an English club, and I know how much you despise the Gallagher Premiership in comparison to the URC. But yeah, that's fine. I would agree with you. I'd rather Northampton win. I'm maybe speaking with my heart here more than my brain, but I know it'll be close. It won't. I'm not an idiot. I know. Well, maybe I am, but in terms of this, I'm not being daft. It is going to be a very, very fierce, close game. But I do think they'll just kind of pull away. I think Finn Smith is a slightly more classier player than Prendergast. Prendergast's traits that Finn Smith doesn't have, but I think that generally, like game management, I think he'll manage to see it through, especially with Boot's got a cracking boot. I mean, matching Prendergast, if not better, on the boot from the tee. So I think that might be, again, fine margins again. Prendergast might miss a couple. He's still a young lad. His first semi-final, but definitely one of his biggest games of his club career so far anyway, so he's got to live up to it. Henry Pollock coming off that scrum, coming off that line out, probably just maybe a couple late cheap shots just to make him aware that he is there and he's going after him. So we'll see what happens, but I think it'll be Northampton by 9 points.
Fair enough. Well, moving on, the second semi-final is at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Bordeaux host Toulouse.
Now, this is first v second in the top 14. Literally two of the top teams. I think Toulouse has lost 5 in the league, and Bordeaux's lost 6 or 7 possibly. And it is literally the two best sides, two most stacked in terms of like international players for the French team. Is it in Toulouse?
No, Bordeaux.
It's in Bordeaux. Ooh, it's a bit of a curveball. Definitely a bit of a curveball there. I'm trying to think of like Dupont is obviously out. I mean, the replacement now is not too shabby, but yeah, I'm just trying to think pound for pound who's got the better back line. I think in the pack it'll be quite evenly matched. I mean, Toulouse has definitely got the on paper the better pack, but it depends what kind of game they decide to play, what kind of game Bordeaux decide to play, because they've got Bielberry and also Pernod, which I think they'll fully try utilise and exploit. I mean, Toulouse ain't too shabby with where do I begin? You've got Kinghorn, you've got Ramos in the backfield, you've got Labelle on the wing as well. Labelle was in the French mix a couple of seasons ago. Quality player. Had a stormer at the weekend as well for Toulouse. I mean, isn't Tarmac back yet, or is he still out?
I thought he was back.
I think he said. I think he maybe is back. Maybe is back. But yeah. So same with, but you've got like Chocobares, so like non-French players. You've got like Chocobares in the centres, and up against probably yeah. So it's very interesting. But like I say, I think it'll be a battle of the backs, solely based off the literal quality of them, because I can't really differentiate the pack, if you like. I think it depends what kind of game it would play, and that's my kind of round-up of it. Prediction-wise, let me sit on it and think. I'll let you kind of ramble on a bit if you want, but let me sit on it and think, because I'm really, really unsure here. This is the one I've been talking about all week, really, ever since the fixture was finalised and announced. But I think with it being at Bordeaux, kind of makes me think, or that has a double kind of take about it. Because if it was at Toulouse, I think that home advantage would be too much.
Yeah, well, the home advantage is definitely like something to consider. I am going with. No, well, I'm just going to say I'm going to go with Toulouse by 7. I mean, the one at last year, for me, they should have that champion mentality in them to get it done, get it through. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than the other semi-final, and
the home crowd in France makes a huge difference, because they encourage like the jeering and like the booing and everything, and it's whether or not you can live up to it, and there'll be plenty of that. They're giving it a semi-final. I guess I might do the hipster choice again. I'm going to say Bordeaux. I'm going to say Bordeaux by 5. Here we go.
Nice.
Adding a bit of controversy, and not controversy, but a bit of a difference in opinion. I'm not going to do a bet though, because I'm usually wrong. I'm not a betting man.
Fair enough.
So you're thinking Leinster vs Toulouse final?
Yeah.
That repeat of last year?
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, repeat of last year. Yeah. Because Kinghorn kicked a hell of a lot of points, did he not, in the final? Or he kicked that.
I just remember him being on the top of the zebra.
Oh. Fair enough. No, I seem to remember him doing a hell of a kick in the final. Either he was the main kicker, or he was then opted to be the kicker later on. But never mind. Back to the point. So I think opposite. I think Northampton, Bordeaux, and then we'll leave that for our next episode once it's all said and done. We'll see who's in the final. Moving on to the Challenge Cup, though, which, I mean, this has got to be tricky to kind of think with our head and not our heart. So I'll let you begin with the first semi-final.
Yeah, so that is Edinburgh versus Bath at the Hive. It's like just behind Murrayfield, Saturday, 3:00. The return of Finn Russell to Scotland, an ex-Glasgow Warrior coming up to play Edinburgh, so that'll be very, very tasty. Edinburgh's form, we were speaking about this off camera, in the last 2 months, it is far, far better than, say, around about Christmas time, the festives were like, well, fuck's sake, Sean Everett should get the dunt, blah, blah, blah. But their form, up until very recently, has been solid. They bet the Bulls, something that Glasgow didn't do this past weekend.
Yep.
Edinburgh are also struggling kind of for the depth. They did reintroduce Darcy Graham this past week. But it was still a very disheartening draw that they had. And whilst, again, I said it was one of the best performances they've ever had under Everett, they still failed to beat the Sharks, and they should have. Yeah, well, like if they got even one try that they didn't get out there, then they should have done. But that's rugby. I don't know. I think Bath could potentially just outscore Edinburgh. However, the factor of the home crowd will make it far more interesting. My heart says Edinburgh, but my head says Bath.
Aye. I'm going to say Bath by about 10.
I would say Bath by 3. I think if it wasn't for the last 2 rounds, I think that has knocked a bit of stuffing out of Edinburgh, and they're not looking quite as formidable as what they have been in recent weeks. It'll still be a bloody good game to watch. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it because I am going to be on the ferry from Aberdeen up to Shetland on Saturday, and that sails at like 5.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll try and move on from that. I would say, I'm going to say Bath by 10. The rest of the boys, I don't think it didn't even make a difference against Newcastle. The rest of the other boys, okay, all 7 of them came on later on in the game. They'll be nice and fresh and ready to go. Russell, maybe have a point to prove. There was a rumour that Russell was actually on his way to a rival club, a rival of Bath. I don't know if they meant the Bears or maybe Exeter or somebody, but I'm honestly not sure. Or it could be Gloucester. I definitely won't be Gloucester. But
I can't see him going to fucking Exeter.
I can't see him going anywhere. Being honest, I think he's quite settled at Bath. Being honest, don't think he'll go Exeter. Definitely not Gloucester. Gloucester's a bit of a shithole. Sorry, any Gloucester fans out there. But I don't even think Bristol's too close. Too close to just kind of jump across. So I think it's maybe just a rumour just being put out there. But never mind. Maybe it's just mind games for leading up to this game against Edinburgh. You never know.
Or it could also be clickbait bullshit journalism. Fuck me, I've seen all this stuff about how Johnny Sexton's now part of the Lions coaching, which is very much there because other than Finn Russell, you're going to have quite a lack of experience with your fly halves. So it's quite a normal thing to do is to go and get somebody like Johnny Sexton as a coach who has also worked with Ireland and Andy Farrell before, but that's these fucking articles about how that's Finn Russell's tour over before it started. I'm like,
yeah, well, Jeff, we can discuss. Do you know what? Leave that and we'll discuss it at the end. I've got a few things to kind of say about that if I remember. But no, for sure, keep that in the back burner for later on in the episode. So, second semi-final, Racing vs Lyon. Is it in Paris or is it in Lyon?
It's in Lyon, 12:30 on Sunday.
I don't think it'll make a difference where it's at, to be honest. I think Racing just now are too, in the league they were kind of lacking to start with, but again picked up a bit of form, playing some very good rugby. Owen Farrell was going through a bit of a kind of patch where he wasn't doing too great, but he seemed to pick it back up again. Nolan Legarek, the absolute prima donna that he is. I don't know if you've seen the video of him diving about. He should have got sent. He should have got recorded for that. It was an absolute joke. Him rolling about like a baby, but quality player. And you know what's absolutely mental? But actually, Legarek's third choice scrum half for France, maybe. It's absolutely mental that he's played for Racing and he's that good a player. I would say probably top 10 scrum halves in the world, and he's third choice for his country. Or just now second choice because Dupont's injured. Insane. But back to the point, you've got Legarek, you've got Farrell, Gael Ficou's back playing. He's looking quite sharp. Who else is there for Racing? They've lost a lot of boys. Joshua Tuasova playing at 12. They've still got some absolute insanely good players in that squad. It's a weird bunch though. I just don't think they quite have the chemistry. You've got just the fact you've got the flavour of Legarek, then you've got a Farrell, which is, I think Farrell only fits certain teams, to be honest. Then you've got a bulldozer like Tuasova, and then the player like Ficou, who's very unpredictable. at times. So it's a very strange kind of spine in the back line there, if you ask me. It doesn't quite. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, some players
Not really, no. I was going to say Gail Fuku is a solid defensive player, and in attacking ways, he's just as good.
No, but he's very unpredictable. Like, with Farrell, you know exactly what he's going to do, but he does it very well. But like with Gail Fuku, you just don't know what he's going to do next. Not in a bad way. So I should have made that clearer. It's not in a bad way, but it's very unpredictable what he is going to do next. Like, he's very hard to read. What makes him phenomenal? He's world class, 100% world class. But I just don't know, like, if that kind of suits the kind of game like Farrell and that was Farrell really wants to play, to be honest, because Farrell's very much like a system, and he wants to know exactly what the person's going to do so he can set up next. That's what I'm kind of trying. That's what I'm trying to get at. So apologies if it was probably was not very specific, but hopefully I've rectified myself there. So
anyway,
so what are you thinking result wise?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Racing will beat them. I could name a couple of players off the top of my head that play for Racing. I don't know about Leon. And again, I've said before, I hardly watch the top 14.
It's good fun. I watch the highlights. I don't watch it live. I watch the highlights. Oh my god, some of the tries are just insane. But it's very competitive, especially at the bottom. Just now, I think it's the team Vaughan's, who the Vunipolas play for, and then there's Perpignan, Powell's down there, Stradford says down there just now. But it's all teams that everyone can beat everyone. Like Vaughan's had a good result at the weekend. I forget who it was against, but even like the Vaughan, they've got players like they've got Varney playing for them, like Marco Vunipola. So boys that have been about. It's a decent standard for like the shit teams in the league, and then you've got the Pro Duck with like bloody Courtney Laws and all that kind of jazz in there playing for
Sam Johnson, yeah.
Sam Johnson as well. Tons of them. Okay then, so the final for Challenge Cup is going to be, in my opinion, Bath. Barson, yeah, excellent. Fair enough. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Whether you think we've got it completely wrong. Well, I mean, the differences would be in the Champions Cup. In the Challenge Cup, we're pretty certain with the results there. It's not set in stone, but a lot easier to predict. I feel. I think the bookies will have more of a field day in the Champions Cup than would be the Challenge Cup. Being perfectly honest with that.
I have a question for you.
Oh shit! Okay, go on then.
So, obviously, the final is meant to be a neutral venue, and it gets determined well in advance of where it should be.
Yep.
Should the same be for the semi-finals? Again, should it be played at a neutral venue? Like, for example, this year, it's the Millennium Stadium. Should it be played at the Scarlets, somewhere in Wales as well, but somewhere different?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it better to do a home semi-final or whatever to save on travelling? And yeah, basically a neutral venue. Do you think that should be for the semi-finals?
Do you know what you've just reminded me of? I've actually got tickets for the final in Cardiff. I completely forgot about that though just now. Oh my god! Oops. Oh well, I guess I'll do some vlogging for that. Aye, so neutral venue for the semi-final. Yes. No. I actually would rather 2 legs for the semi-final. One at home, one away. Because that doesn't happen, I'm still going to say. No, I'm still going to say yes. I would like a neutral venue. My reason is just because make it a favour. Yeah, and that's the bottom line. Just make it a favour. Because it is like just a shoot off, just a 1 game shoot off. What about yourself? What do you think?
I agree with you. I think it should be a neutral venue because the likes of Edinburgh, they wouldn't have much of a chance against Bath if it wasn't at the Hive.
Uh-huh.
However, it's like, okay, you could hate Edinburgh Bath, and it's like, right, it's a semi-final, could be in France or whatever, right? So you've got two British teams having to fly all the way to France or whatever for a game of rugby. Could it not have been played somewhere closer to home?
Yeah.
But in my opinion, like, it's aside from the travel aspect, I see your point with the two legs. The only thing for me is two reasons. One is player welfare. You know, that's more games at an elite level for probably the French teams.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think that there's enough room in the calendar for the fixture to be played. But yeah, for me, I would have a neutral venue for the semi-finals.
I was looking at the amount of fixtures that the French teams play each year. I think there's 14 teams in the French league, top 14, which means they play 26 games in the league alone. On top of that, they've got the Challenge/Champions Cup for certain teams as well.
And your playoffs in the league.
And your playoffs in the league. In terms of the Gallagher Premiership, what is that? 11 teams, 10 teams or something?
10
teams, yeah. So even then, what's that? 18 games plus the rest. And then playoffs. And then the URC, there is
16.
And do they do home and away, do they?
Yeah, so so if you're in the top 8, the top 2 get a home. I can't remember how it works, but you get a home quarter final and a home semi-final.
Yeah.
3 and 4 get the same, but not the semi-final, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8 all play away basically. Now, last year, obviously, Glasgow, they, like, in the space of 1 week, it was like, oh, we've beaten Munster away in Thomond Park and Limerick. We're now going to have to go all the way to Pretoria to play the Bulls.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And that's albeit this is a different competition we're on about now, but again, for me, semi-final and final, in my opinion, should be neutral.
Yeah. No, I get you. Fully get you. So that's a lot of fixtures for the URC teams as well.
And a lot of travel when you include the South Africans. I mean, it is... Yes. It is better for the South Africans, the fact that it's all within like Europe or whatever, rather than going to Australia, New Zealand, etc.
It's all to do with time zones. It's all
yes.
So it does make sense. Yeah, I'm definitely like swaying towards the way of like I said one semi-final, but a neutral venue in that case, because that is a lot of like kind of load in that, especially towards the end of the season where injuries kick in, folk are literally just getting strapped up to like see out the end of the season and that. So yeah, and also because of that reason, it would be like higher quality if there's maybe less games, and less risk of injury, player welfare, all that jazz. So yeah, that's a full blown conclusion. On to Johnny Sexton, right? What was a question? Was it a question or just no? It's more just a statement. Johnny Sexton, assistant coach for the Lions. First things first. What do you make of that overall? Like, just generally, like, don't get too much into this, like the controversial thing about Finn Russell and that, but just what do you think of that overall? Do you think that's a good appointment or bad appointment?
Well, as I said earlier, I think it's a good appointment considering he's been brought in to work with Andy Farrell before and helping out the younger players like your Prendergast, Finn Smith, etc. And having somebody like him that's played at the top level for such a long time. Not the biggest fan of him. Probably wouldn't be a bad thing for him to be speaking to Finn Russell about certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad appointment.
I think it was a very tactical one. I really do think Andy Farrell's going not just go with youthfulness, but I think there's a lot of players in there like coming into their primes, but also a lot of players with like serious potential that are still quite young, like the Prendergast and Smith in that fly half position. Even Marcus Smith isn't old at all either. He's 25, 26, but he's coming into his prime years and he's very good. The fact he's going to be at 15 as well. It's maybe a bit of kind of tactical element, like having like 2 10s on the pitch if you like. I genuinely think Marcus Smith will start 15 for the Lions if Kinghorn's not starting. That is. Marcus Smith might be a bench player because he can go 10 on 15.
So, what about Hugo Keenan?
Overrated. So overrated.
So yes, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to follow us all and all the socials in the description. Be sure to keep on commenting. It is appreciated, and yeah.
We've got a lot in there. Champions Cup, Challenge Cup, and also a little bit of discussion just about venues and that as well. Just a general chat. Thank you for the comments as well. I'm glad I managed to address them. There was nothing negative. It was just a bit of discussion, rugby talk, rugby chat and discussion. What we like, what we need to grow the channel. So stay tuned for more. Drop a comment. Follow on our socials. Links on the bio below. And thank you very much for watching. Thank you again, Andy, for being a good co-host as always. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye bye.